Okay, let's unpack this. We are doing a deep dive today into a firsthand account that is just profoundly unsettling.
It really is.
And this isn't your typical home invasion story. Not at all. It's this whole narrative that layers constant stress, a ton of responsibility on a kid, and then a terrifying encounter.
And it all leads to this final shocking twist
Mm-hmm.
about what protection actually looks like.
Yeah.
It's so powerful because the setup is everything. I mean, the story doesn't really begin with the monster, does it? It begins with this chronic everyday dread.
Exactly. The narrator is just 16 years old, and they're already completely conditioned by the stress of living in a high-crime area.
hmm And that tension, that pre-existing fear, is what makes the final confrontation so impactful.
Absolutely. The story drops us right into a neighborhood where, crime is just the background noise.
It's the texture of their life.
It is. There are visible gang signs, neighbors are getting burglarized all the time, and police cars are constantly, and this is a great detail, cruising slowly.
Yeah, like they're just waiting.
Right, so the narrator is already on high alert, even before the night their mom leaves town for a full week, putting them completely in charge of their younger brother, Mikey.
And that's where the mystery really starts, long before anything, overtly supernatural happens.
Right.
If the whole neighborhood is getting hit, people losing TVs, tools, anything that isn't nailed down, why is their house the only one that's never been touched?
The narrator talks about it being tampered with,
Right.
little things, the screen doors found unlatched, windows look like they've been checked.
Like something was testing the perimeter, probing the boundaries, but then always deciding not to cross them.
It's this invisible security system that their mom just kind of brushes off. And that, I think, gets to the heart of the narrator's state of mind. This intense feeling of responsibility that's really driven by abandonment.
That's it, exactly. The mother is working constantly, so the narrator has to step up, not just with chores, but to shield Mikey from the shadow of their absent father.
The father who left when the narrator was just 6 years old, he went off to pursue some specialized field, which the narrator is convinced was,
Something illegal.
something illegal, yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't just resent him for leaving. They're afraid his past is somehow connected to all the danger that's just sort of floating around them.
That fear fuels this hypervigilance, this feeling that they have to be the protector because the one who was supposed to do it is gone.
And you see that protection instinct so clearly in how they treat their brother. There's this really critical detail about Mikey's name.
Oh, yeah.
The father's name was Michael. And when the narrator was only 8 years old, they fought their mom, just refused to call their baby brother Michael.
Said it made their skin crawl.
Right. So they insisted on Mikey. And it wasn't just a nickname. It was this deliberate act of separation, like they were trying to keep the father's, his toxicity from touching the brother.
So the stage is set. You have this isolated house that seems to have some strange, unexplained protection.
And a 16-year-old kid carrying the weight of the entire family. And then the second mystery appears. The one that's already inside the house.
Mikey's unseen companion.
Yeah. Since he could talk, Mikey was absolutely adamant that there was something in his room.
And he was specific. It wasn't a someone. It was a something.
And these weren't just, vague boogeyman stories. The details he shared with his mother are just chilling.
He told her it would whisper to her while she was asleep. And that once, she woke up and it was petting her hair.
I mean, can you imagine? That's not a nightmare. That is a violation. It's so intimate.
And what's fascinating is the mom's reaction. She's visibly disturbed, you can tell, but she defaults to that classic parent script. Oh, honey, you just have a vivid imagination.
Right. But her actions totally betray that. She keeps his bedroom light on for a full week after he tells her that.
She's trying to deny the fear while also, making a concession to it.
And the narrator, our 16-year-old, tries to be the rational one, the skeptic. They even suggest watching a scary movie.
Right. The idea being that if Mikey sees it's just a guy in a rubber suit, it'll kind of break the spell.
It's an attempt to control the narrative, to shrink the terror down to something explainable.
But you have to wonder, right? How often do we do that? When we face something we can't explain, we just try to cram it into a box we already understand just to feel normal again.
And while they're trying to do that, trying to stay awake watching TV, that sense of normalcy just shatters.
The screen goes black.
And then you hear that sound, that flat, ugly, buzzing drone of the emergency broadcast system.
The Amber Alert. It confirms a break-in just a few blocks away. And the message is simple. Lockdown. Now.
And that sense of isolation just crashes down on the narrator. They describe their chest tightening because it's not just about a burglar anymore.
No.
It's the realization that they are the only thing, the one single barrier between their little brother and whatever is about to come through that door.
And with their mom gone for the first time for a whole week, that responsibility becomes this crushing weight.
So they go into this frantic, almost mechanical mode. They check the front door lock twice. They slam all the windows shut, tighten every latch, pull every blind.
Fighting the panic with procedure.
Exactly. They retreat upstairs, still totally wired, and then the silence is just, it's ripped apart.
By a scream.
A high-pitched scream. It's Mikey's voice.
And in that 1 second, all the procedure, the lockdown, the rational thinking, it's all gone.
It collapses. They just run. No weapon, no plan, just pure instinct to get to the brother they swore they would protect.
They burst into the room, and there's this moment of relief.
A huge wave of relief. There's no burglar. Mikey is just sitting up in bed crying. He says he had a bad dream.
But the narrator's heart is still pounding. And Mikey, terrified, asked him to check.
Yeah.
Just one last time. Check for the monster.
So the narrator is still trying to play it cool, you know, for Mikey's sake. They even make a joke. He probably packed up and moved when he heard me coming.
Checks the closet. Nothing.
Empty. But Mikey points. Under the bed.
And here's where everything changes.
This is where it gets really interesting. The narrator gets down on their hands and knees, shines their phone's flashlight under the bed. They're expecting to see, what, dust bunnies? A lost sock?
An old toy, maybe?
Instead, deep in the darkness, the light catches a glint. Something smooth. And it blinks.
The physical reality of the room just shatters in that moment.
What they saw were two enormous yellow eyes, just massive, and they were sunk into a head that should not have been able to fit in that tiny space.
And the pupil was a long vertical slit. It narrowed, against the sudden light from the phone.
The description is just so impossible. The creature's body was covered in this thick, uneven, damp-looking fur, and it was pressed into the space like it was forced to conform to the shape of the gap under the bed.
You could see these thick, unnatural limbs just jammed up against the box spring.
And the mouth was slightly open, showing these rows of small, disjointed teeth. And there were thick strings of spit hanging from its jaw.
But the detail that just freezes your blood isn't how scary it looks. It's the expression.
It wasn't hostile, it wasn't angry or startled.
No, it shifted its jaw, showed more of those teeth, and it gave this deep, knowing grin.
It was pleased to be seen.
And that grin is what breaks the paralysis. The narrator's body just unlocks. They throw themselves backwards, scrambling away.
They grab Mikey, and they just retreat. It's pure, frantic instinct.
The race to the attic.
They drag him across a hall, shove him up through the hatch, yank the ladder, and slam it shut. Total desperation.
They grab their phone. They dial 911.
But the words won't come out right. All they can stammer is, "Someone broke in." How do you even begin to describe the grinning, damp-furred thing under the bed?
You can't. The reality of it defies language.
So they just managed to get the address out once before the cracked screen on their phone just goes black. The battery's dead. They're completely, totally isolated.
And in that darkness, in that silence, the chaos starts downstairs.
And this is where you have to listen really closely to the sounds, because what you're hearing are two very different things happening at the same time.
Two completely different sound profiles.
First, you hear the burglar. It's obvious. The sound of the kitchen window breaking, followed by these scrambling steps. Then drawers opening and closing. Someone looking for valuables.
That sounds human. That sounds like a normal break-in.
Right. But then there's a massive crash from Mikey's room.
And the sound profile just shifts completely. After that crash, the movement downstairs becomes unnatural. It's slow at first, and then it becomes this heavy galloping sound, something much, much larger than a man moving through the house.
And then the confrontation. You hear screams, definitely the burglars. You hear sounds of a struggle, cabinet slamming, wood splintering.
And then that animalistic noise. Something between a growl and this horrifying deep cough.
And then the final sounds, a crunch, followed by a massive gulp that seems to just radiate up through the floorboards of the attic.
And then absolute silence.
The police show up hours later, and the scene they find, it just can't be explained by a normal burglar. The level of force that was used is just monumental.
We're talking about the dining room table being split in half. The center legs completely crushed.
2 chairs are broken, and one of them is lodged halfway through the drywall.
And the most chilling detail, the one that confirms it, was just pure concentrated force. A wall near the coat rack was cracked open, not punched through, cracked open from sheer pressure.
They find the burglar's gun on the floor, right below the broken window, and it's identified as belonging to the man from the Amber Alert.
So the police are left with this impossible scene. And they do what people do. They rationalize. Their official conclusion, delivered with this confident, calming tone, is that the burglar broke in, got spooked, and ran away.
The officer even tells the narrator they saved their lives by calling 911.
But the narrator knows the truth.
The horrible, hidden truth. The man didn't run away. He was consumed. And the narrator says nothing. Because how could they? Who would ever believe them?
And that silence leads to this necessary reinterpretation years later. Because if that creature was just some hostile monster, it had every chance to follow them up into the attic.
It was a dead end. They were trapped. But it didn't come for them.
Which fundamentally redefines its entire purpose.
The narrator finally concludes that the monster wasn't haunting Mikey. It was guarding him. Its physical presence under his bed was a post. A guard post. The ultimate, most terrifying form of security.
When you connect that to the bigger picture, the creature fulfilled the exact role that the human father had abandoned. It was a defender. A grotesque and horrifying one, but a defender nonetheless.
It had been passively protecting the house all those years. That's why they were never robbed. And when the threat finally came inside, it became violently active. It protected its territory and its charge.
The greatest terror in that house turned out to be their ultimate security.
It's an incredible reversal. The thing that created the most fear was the very thing that was keeping them alive.
And this raises an important question for you, the learner, as you think about this story. If true protection can come in monstrous forms we can't rationalize or explain, how often do we mistake our greatest safeguards for our greatest fears, just because we can't stand their appearance or their methods? What unseen forces might be defending the boundaries that we refuse to even acknowledge?